If grading feels like a second job you never applied for, this is for you. You know the scene. The stack of papers, the open tabs, the gradebook blinking at you like it's judging your life choices, and the classic line you whisper to yourself at 9:42 p.m. on Sunday. I'll just do a few. And somehow you do three. You're exhausted and the pile looks exactly the same. You're not lazy. You're not inefficient. You're not bad at grading. You've just been grading in a way your brain was never meant to handle. Because most of us were never taught how to grade. We were taught what to grade. And then left alone with 150 humans worth of evidence and a vague sense that we should be giving good feedback. So we bounce. Paper to rubric, rubric to gradebook, gradebook to email, email to the next paper, back to the first paper because you forgot what you decided. It's not grading that's killing you, it's the constant mental gear shifting. Today, I want to show you 3 shifts that make grading feel calm, predictable, almost mechanical. The kind of grading where you can realistically get through a class in about 1 minute per student without lowering your standards, without inventing new systems, and without giving up your weekend to paper purgatory. Here's where most teachers accidentally make grading 10 times harder than it needs to be. We treat every paper like a brand new event. Brand new thinking, brand new decisions, brand new energy. And your brain is screaming, why are we starting over every 30 seconds? The first shift is about stopping the battle with your own attention and letting your brain do what it's actually good at: repetition. Before you even start grading, you change what your desk looks like. Batch, don't battle. You physically stack similar assignments. Same task, same rubric, same class. Not a mixed pile. Not, I'll do a few from each class. One stack. You sit down with that one stack and nothing else. No gradebook open, no tabs, no email, just the papers. Now you're doing one mental job on repeat. You read, you decide, you move it to the done pile. Read, decide, done. Read, decide, done. You finally feel momentum. You see the pile shrinking instead of feeling like you're swimming in a paper chaos. Next, color code for speed. Before you start, you put 3 sticky notes on your desk: green, yellow, red. Green means they nailed it. Yellow means they're getting there. Red means not yet. As you read each paper, you don't write comments. You don't score. You don't overthink. You simply slap a color on it. After the stack is done, then you transfer those colors into scores using your rubric in one smooth pass. No rereading, no second guessing, no emotional spiral. And finally, rubric macros are your friends. You create 6 to 8 tiny pre-written comments that match your rubric language. Strong comprehension, developing fluency, needs clearer meaning, excellent detail. Print these on a sheet or save them digitally. As you read, you circle or click the phrase that fits and then moves on. That phrase means I read this and it counts. And once you can move this quickly, you start noticing something more important than tiny errors. Have you ever spent more time deciding how many points to take off for a missing accent mark than noticing whether the student actually understood the text? That's because we were trained to grade for correctness instead of evidence of language. This shift changes what you look for when you read. First, focus on what matters. When you pick up a paper, you literally tell yourself, I am grading for evidence of comprehension. You are scanning for, did they understand the input? Can they communicate meaning? You are not hunting for spelling crimes. You are not the accent police. You are looking for proof that input turned into language. Then, 3 words max. Your feedback becomes 1 word, maybe 2, never a paragraph. Fluency, accuracy, comprehension. You write that word at the top. It matches your rubric. The student knows what to work on. You move on in 10 seconds. And finally, track growth, not guilt. You keep a simple chart or spreadsheet. Names down the side, weeks across the top. Each week, you drop in a color or one of your 3 words. Now you see patterns over time instead of reliving every assignment like it's a moral judgment. This part is about protecting your brain. When grading is random, it feels infinite. When grading is predictable, it feels containable. So start. Grading day equals calendar block. You put grading on your calendar for 45 minutes once a week. When that time comes, you sit down with your stack, your colors, your macros, and you move. Grading now has become as a home. It does not live in every spare moment of your life. Then add music plus a timer combo. You put on a playlist. You set a 25-minute timer. You are not grading forever. You're grading for 25 minutes. Your brain locks in because it knows this is temporary. And then celebrate the wins. When you finish, you send a quick message. This class showed huge growth and fluency this week. I'm impressed. That small celebration gives your brain a reward. Grading starts to feel like completion instead of dread. You didn't lower your standards. You didn't invent a new grading system. You didn't add more work. You changed how you move through papers. You changed what you looked for. You changed when grading happens. If this helped you rethink grading, hit the like so more teachers can find this. And subscribe for more CI and proficiency-based ideas that make classroom life even easier. So tell me, what part of grading drains you the most right now? Drop that in the comments. And check out the CI Survival Kit at mm.us/kit. And take the CI Proficiency Quiz at mm.us/CI quiz. Then click the next video. YouTube is showing you right now on the screen because it pairs perfectly with this one. Happy comprehensible input.